When a strong instinct assures the probability of personal survival, they are right not to close their ears to its voice. But if there exists souls capable of an independent life, whence do they come? When, how, and why do they enter into this body which we see arise, quite naturally, from a mixed cell derived from the bodies of its two parents? All these questions will remain unanswered. A philosophy of intuition will be a negation of science. Will be sooner or later swept away by science, if it does not resolve to see the life of the body just where it really is, on the road that leads to the life of the spirit. But it will then no longer have to do with definite living beings. Life as a whole, from the initial impulsion that thrust it into the world, will appear as a wave which rises and which is opposed by the descending movement of matter. On the greater part of its surface, at different heights, the current is converted by matter into a vortex. At one point alone, it passes freely, dragging with it the obstacle which will weigh on its progress but will not stop it. At this point is humanity. It is our privileged situation. On the other hand, this rising wave is consciousness, and like all consciousness, it includes potentialities without number, which interpenetrate and to which, consequently, neither the category of unity nor that of multiplicity is appropriate, made as they both are for inert matter. The matter that it bears along with it, and in the interstices of which it inserts itself, alone can divide it into distinct individualities. On flows the current, running through human generations, subdividing itself into individuals. This subdivision was vaguely indicated in it, but could not have been made clear without matter. Thus, souls are continually being created, which nevertheless, in a certain sense, pre-existed. They are nothing else than the little rills into which the great river of life divides itself, flowing through the body of humanity. The movement of the stream is distinct from the riverbed, although it must adopt its winding course. Consciousness is distinct from the organism it animates, although it must undergo its vicissitudes, as the possible actions which a state of consciousness indicates are at every instant beginning to be carried out in the nervous centers. The brain underlines at every instant the motor indications of the state of consciousness. But the interdependency of consciousness and brain is limited to this. The destiny of consciousness is not bound up on that account with the destiny of cerebral matter. Finally, consciousness is essentially free. It is freedom itself, but it cannot pass through matter without settling on it, without adapting itself to it. This adaptation is what we call intellectuality, and the intellect turning itself back toward active, that is to say, free, consciousness, naturally makes it enter into the conceptual forms into which it is accustomed to see matter fit. It will, therefore, always perceive freedom in the form of necessity. It will always neglect the part of novelty or of creation inherent in the free act. It will always substitute for action, itself an imitation artificial, approximative, obtained by compounding the old with the old and the same with the same. Thus, to the eyes of a philosophy that attempts to reabsorb intellect and intuition, many difficulties vanish or become light. But such a doctrine does not only facilitate speculation, it gives us also more power to act and to live. For, with it, we feel ourselves no longer isolated in humanity. Humanity no longer seems isolated in the nature that it dominates. As the smallest grain of dust is bound up with our entire solar system, drawn along with it in that undivided moment of descent which is materiality itself, so all organized beings, from the humblest to the highest, from the first origins of life to the time in which we are, and in all places as in all times, do but evidence a single impulsion, the inverse of the movement of matter, and in itself indivisible. All the living hold together, and all yield to the same tremendous push. The animal takes its stand on the plant, man bestrides animality, and the whole of humanity, in space and in time, is one immense army, galloping beside and before and behind each of us in an overwhelming charge, able to beat down every resistance and clear the most formidable obstacles, perhaps even death.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.